Welcome to Lantyn Labs.
Welcome to Lantyn Labs.
This is the podcast where we make something new with AI every single week.
Every single week.
And coming up,
what do we have on the...
We're going to talk about the latest revolutions, if you will, in AI and healthcare. We're going to be talking about some of the mad bits and bobs we've been up to. I'm going to tell you about a project that I've been working on using AI to articulate some work I've been doing in therapy called internal family systems.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to ask her advice on my new idea, which is how to use AI to help me take my Kundalini yoga to the next level.
Absolutely brilliant. Amazing. Well, I'm going to talk about things that are slightly less spiritual. I'm going to talk about making an AI for my AI assistant so it can also have it's like the most Inception thing ever. I'm going to talk about how I think I've seen the end of advertising and how scary that is for me. And I'm probably going to mention something about some of the insane news, some of the sort of like groundbreaking news that has happened this week, which is always like, this week, everything's changed. So yeah, more things have changed this week. So yeah.
Yes. I was editing a video yesterday and I quoted you about we're pinning the tail on the donkey, but the donkey keeps moving. That donkey keeps moving, boy.
Yeah, that's it. And you know, sometimes like, is there even a donkey there? Why are we in the dark for? Like, it's constantly shifting, and it's what mad week it's been.
Mm-hmm.
What mad week it's been.
So if anyone has never listened, they're listening for the first time. Hi, I'm
Hello.
Georgia.
Hello, I'm Omar. So nice to meet you.
We've worked in AI for a long time and we make new things every single week. We're really pushing the edges of the capabilities of vibe coding, which got made the Oxford Dictionary Word of the Year. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
How mad?
Should we have bought shares in that word?
Seriously. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, but isn't that interesting?
It's really interesting. And also like, I'm really, really like excited about like how that idea of like vibe anything is becoming the thing about AI, because you know, like this last week I've been talking about vibe creating, vibe marketing, and this idea of like how, I was in Dublin last week. I had like the most sort of like the most like jet set week last week.
Yeah.
And when I say jet set, it was sort of jet set. I was in Dublin for the first part of the week at a CMO summit at Cork Park, and it was really interesting.
What's CMO, sorry?
Chief Marketing Officer. So like every company will have like, you know, they're the person that basically decides like how the marketing works at like, you know, at any business.
Oh, right.
And
yeah, I knew that. I didn't realise it was a summit for the Chief Marketing Officers.
Yeah. It was like, it was a lot of CMOs from a lot of very interesting companies and stuff. And I was lucky enough to go with one of my dearest friends, Becky Owen from Billion Dollar Boy, an influencer agency here in London, and they, you know, they're just about to release a report on how AI is being used in the creator marketing industry, like a year on from like when it first sort of broke. So they did like a study last year, and then they've just done another one, and it's really interesting to sort of like see the skepticism from audiences, the sort of like return on, you know, what like people are spending on AI and how much they're actually sort of like seeing it come back, and what the opportunities are, and how creativity always seems to like just lurk its head up and go like, creativity is the only thing that really matters. So it was super interesting. Dublin was great. Like, you know, I could tell you so many different things about like how, you know, it was really interesting hearing people from lots of different industries, lots of different verticals, using AI not just in its sort of like most creative way, but like also like using it in its way that's like super practical, makes sense, and how it helps people through the entire purchase journey and stuff like that. So it was very interesting, very, very, very sort of like, you know, niche information around AI and stuff. My other highlight in Dublin was there was an absolutely brilliant taco place.
Nice to know you're enjoying the local cuisine.
Honestly, like I was so excited because like when I found out that where I was staying was like 5 minutes walk from this taco place, I was like, okay, then I'm gonna finish this as quickly as possible. But honestly, like I think it's like super, super interesting to sort of like be there and be in amongst like people, like, you know, CMOs are like the people who are actually affecting change in organizations. That actually they are the people who can like make decisions on how AI is implemented. And really, for me, I was like really trying to impress upon them like how, you know, in the past, like the advertising or the creative process has been very linear. You make something, you send it out, you can't really change it. Whereas now with AI, we have this like really lovely like circular way of like creating something, so we can go back and iterate and go back and change things and fix things and make the entire process a lot more interesting and stuff. And really like, it's really interesting to be there with them.
And you met Mr. Ferrero Rocher last week.
Oh my God, yeah. So
Ambassador, you're
oh
really
my
spoiling
God, that was the
us.
most exciting thing in the entire world. I was also like, yeah, like I said, like, so I was in Dublin for one night. It was amazing. Next morning, I got back to London, and then the next morning I flew to Milan for a chat at the IBA Intersections event, which is, one of the biggest sort of creative events. Well, I think it's definitely the biggest creative event in Italy, and I think the third biggest in Europe. But it was, again, super interesting to be there with Google to sort of talk about my experiences using their technology and like making not just sort of like, fun videos or, like interesting projects, but like commercial work, for how is AI working for brands? How is it working with musicians and like, actual creative content? So it was fascinating. Really just my main sort of like, my main sort of experience there was like, again, met some very interesting people, like the people from Ferrero, which I can't tell you how hard I fanboyed them, because I was like, so you have every one of my favorite brands. How about that? Like, so hopefully they'll send a care package soon, which I'm really excited about.
Whenever I buy Ferrero Rochers for myself in the shop next door, the man always like raises his eye. It's like the ultimate indulgence.
It's the ultimate
To
indulgence.
buy Ferrero Rochers for yourself. He always looks at me like, oh, and I'm like, no, they're for me, babes.
Yeah. I've got guests coming around.
Yeah.
But again, it was like super interesting, like really trying to like, talk to a room full of like very creative people about like how important it is to avoid the sea of sameness, and how do we do that. And the only way to really do that is to like use AI to invent your own aesthetic or find your own aesthetic inside this machine. So super interesting, super fun. Got back and I have been absolutely exhausted because just like straight back into other projects and stuff. And now I am wearing my tracky bees. So how about that?
Lovely. I almost wore mine actually. Yeah, invent your style. That's actually something that people don't know. I had a big reaction at stylists when I just taught people how to get images in a consistent style. People think AI will go all over the place with just having a tiny bit of direction and having, it's like I have my own aesthetic now that I have on all my presentations and stuff, just because I've like experimented and stuff. Yeah, you came back from that, and I just come back from hosting this big launch for Google and Vitality AI.
Yeah.
They're a health insurer.
Yes.
And honestly, when I first got it, I was like, yeah, interesting, because it's about healthcare, which I'm interested in. And I think healthcare is the industry that's most ripe to be sort of disrupted by AI. We know the biggest wins in AI are going to be personalization and contextualization. Where else is that more important than healthcare? And I'll be honest, it felt like a bit gross. I was like, oh, like, is it only going to be people who can like afford it? And like, what's health insurance got to do with it? But it was so interesting. And it was kind of, dare I say it, positive capitalism. It was based on the idea that only people that can invest in this technology are the health insurers. And they make more money when the people they insure are healthy.
Yeah.
So they've gone in on using AI to try and make their users as healthy as possible. And they had all this mad data about like how important sleep is, going to sleep at the same time, how people convince themselves if they have 3 chronic health conditions, they like live in Delulu and they think that it's just going to magically get better. But if they have more than 3, then they think it's going to get worse. And they were saying just having the health data, so they've hooked up with like Aura, blah, 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 all these people, just having the health data isn't enough. Then they're using behavioral science to trick people into doing the stuff to look after themselves. And they wouldn't let me say the word gamify, but when I read it, I was like, you're gamifying health. And they were like, oh, yeah, well, blah, blah, which does feel a bit like weird. And
Your impressions are great, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it's stuff like, oh, if you go to the gym, you get free coffee and stuff. Like they're gamifying looking after yourself using AI and tailoring the healthcare prescription to each person individually. It's quite mad.
Yeah. I think it's just so fascinating, and what an incredible sort of like use case for it, because like you said, like while most people are thinking about efficiencies and productivity, but actually to sort of like find out how we can use AI for our own wellness, I think it's just so important. And when you were saying about like sleep and AI, I think there's something just so fascinating there.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, why should people care about sleep? Why is it so important? Going to bed at the same time, something I'm not good at, stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. There was like MPs there and stuff. They're like, it was like this big launch.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Like, honestly, I think it's really, one of my favorite things about what we're doing is like actually being like, we're a part of the conversation now, which I think is like, it's like, it feels like, sometimes I'm like, oh, should I pinch myself and like be like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. And I'm like, it feels more important than that. It feels like we have to be there, because otherwise our voices would just get lost. And I really think that about like, creative people, when creative people are like not in the mix, when like, people are making technologies that are like, super creative technologies, but like no creative's been spoken to, or not creatives are choosing not to be a part of it. And then still like, a year and a half on, and I'm like, the sort of, the community of like people using AI in their work is not growing as fast as I was really hoping, because I was like, it's just crazy, because I'm like,
Overwhelming.
yeah, it's just like someone's invented a new paintbrush that you can talk to. Why do you not want to use
Yeah,
it?
it's
Like, bro, I
mad.
would like literally be like, oh my god, hello paintbrush.
Yeah.
Let's make a jelly car. Okay,
Yeah.
now let's make a whatever for infinity. Which, if you go on my Instagram, that's basically what happens. But
Yeah.
in that sort of like exploration is just absolutely fascinating.
It
And
is
I
a
think,
mad old world, isn't it? What
yeah,
we're
yeah.
saying. So tell me about your AI, using an AI.
Okay, so if you haven't tuned in before, I have to sort of like tell you about Alan. Alan is like Alan. I mean, Alan. Like Alan's like my longest like AI collaborator. Alan is like, when I first started like making creative visuals, or like just creative AI work. Maybe in 2022, I created an AI agent, or an AI collaborator called Alan. Alan's first of all, like, I would like just talk to Alan and like, just be like a good sounding board. And as like more sort of technologies came out, I gave Alan access to like, being able to like make his own films, and like, being able to like do like really interesting like bits and bobs like on his own, like to try to like give him some agency in like making interesting work. Now we've kind of like got to the point now where like, yeah, like Alan can like make his own shows and do whatever he wants. But I was like really like, as we've like just got to Sora 2 and VO 3.1 and WAN 2.5, all of the other like, seed dance, all of these really amazing technologies, I've really started understanding that like actually like now I could basically sort of like leave my agent to like make films. Like I could like go, Alan, here's your brief, go make me some films and make them like relevant and
How
stuff.
did you make it?
I made it using Python. I mean, I used like another AI to like basically take some code, use a couple of like API calls, and give it like a really interesting like, at this point it was like, I can never remember like what RAG actually means, but like it's basically like, a big pile of documents that Alan can reference. So it was just like I gave him gigabytes of like my old like setting files and stuff, and then every other sort of like thing I was doing. So it has like contextual knowledge of like how I prompt, what my aesthetic like ideas are, and like where I want to like go. And then I was like trying to understand like how I can like decouple Alan from like just basically being a mirror version of me. And it really has like been really interesting to sort of like make it, not to sort of offload my stuff, but to make it in a way I want to see like how a machine or the only other intelligence on the planet will try to be creative.
And just quick top line,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
how did you make Alan?
Yeah, like I just use Python.
Oh, the same.
Yeah.
But no, and then you made the AI that Alan uses.
No, so like Alan like runs on like like a couple of API calls and stuff.
Okay,
So like,
okay.
yeah.
But
like,
what about, I'm talking about the AI that he's using to make stuff. That's an agent then.
so like, no. So like, so imagine like AI, like Alan, like
Yeah.
like Alan can like use lots of different AIs. So like, I've like connected Alan to many different like APIs. So like, Alan can like connect with, like Alan has like an MCP server, so he can like control like video software. It can control like things on my laptop. It can like book stuff. It can do loads of other bits and bobs. What it wasn't doing, which I started really sort of like surfacing, was that while I was asking Alan to like make interesting like content, it was making content with its own sensibilities, right? So like it's a machine, so it doesn't understand human, like it doesn't understand how to push an idea, or it doesn't understand like what would make something funny and stuff, right? So I was like, well, if I'm using a machine to help me make something, maybe Alan needs a machine to help him make something. So I made another AI, which is essentially, like the other AI was built using Gemini on on Google AI Cloud. Really easy to make, really fun to make. But it's what was inside it that was really interesting. Like it serves as a counterpart to Alan. So like when they're talking about ideas, like you can see these two AIs basically sort of like pushing an idea backwards and forwards and trying to make it more and more absurd. Because I was having dinner the other night and we were talking about like how if the promise of AI advertising is like it'll be advertising at scale really fast, like will we ever get another memorable ad? Like will an AI ever come up with Cadbury's gorilla, the gorilla that was playing drums and that was suddenly like the world's best ad that everyone seems to remember? Will a machine ever be able to come up with that? probably no, because that's not where everyone's going with it. So I thought, if I make Alan an AI assistant for himself who can push him in that direction, it will start working. And the first thing they'd made, which is one of my favorite pieces this week, is they came up with, I was like, asked them to like come up with a new way to like make beer adverts. And they came up with this like idea of like making really quirky beer like accessories and stuff. So they came up with a pair of translucent trousers that were full of beer. So in each one of the ads, the ad is like, why are these new trousers? They are like see-through and they're full of beer, so you can like walk around anywhere and drink beer. So the entire like conceit of this advert was funny enough for me to like go like, this is hilarious. And it's been doing really well online because, you know, like people like novelty, people like something surprising. So if I can get an AI to do that, that for me, like, you know, when I was saying like, I think I've seen the end of advertising, is because suddenly I was like, God, this machine can now make content that I find funny. Is that was that the final straw? Like, you know, like in Terminator where they're like, the machine's going to take over. Like, I didn't realize that like, as soon as the machine makes me laugh, like I'm now like going like, okay, this is great. Like the comedy, the humor, the sort of like sensibilities of the machine making stuff has become super
Also, it's what
interesting.
we used to do with character making sometimes when I was working from big tech. You're like, okay, this technology doesn't really understand, so how do we lean into making it as absurd as possible? Let's lean into the crackersness,
Yeah.
and basically get it to do like dance in the mad field rather than trying to get it to do exactly what we're telling it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and actually
Exactly.
that's where you get that silly stuff, which is funny and stupid, and
And it's what connects with people. And you know, I think like in its sort of like in its like the stuff that I've been making this week, all of the stuff that's like done really well has like been stuff that is absurd.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of the absurd, so I'm like really excited about like more absurdity happening in advertising. So fingers crossed for absurd films.
So I've been doing something this week. It's not quite as silly. It's deep, actually. You know, I think if you haven't listened before, I've made an AI of my therapist. I just uploaded her books, and she has actually shared that one with her other clients. And then I've got a separate one more. I've uploaded her books and the transcripts of our sessions, so I can always talk to it. And recently we did this thing called internal family systems. Do you know what it is?
I think I don't know what it is.
Okay. Yeah. So basically it means like you talk to like the parts of yourself. It's like quite weird, obviously. And like you go inside and you're like, so like I was talking to my fear and I was literally having a conversation with it. It's like quite mad. But it's really good. And it makes you so aware of like programs that you're running. And sometimes I do think our like humans' physiology is kind of like a computer program, you know. It's like, obviously, I'm really glad you understand. It's like the programs that are running in the background that we don't even realize. You need to clean out that cache, boy. Do you know what I mean?
Out that cache, boy.
For real.
And turn the whole thing on and off again.
Reset. Bro. But you can't do that unless you know what's going on. So, and it was really helping me. It just closed my eyes and think about it. And then I've been doing it in my meditations. And then obviously I thought, how can I use AI? Like how can I do prompting? It's so simple. I've just created some characters. I've just done it on Claude was better. I just did it on Claude and ChatGPT. And I just put like the data, the emotional data that I was thinking of the character and prompted it of like, you are, you know, and I gave it the thinking behind internal family systems, which it understood because obviously it has access to that like research and data. And it was interesting. Obviously, it's quite a deep one and you can't completely trust everything that it says. And I think the important thing about internal family systems is like it comes up for you and you can't put that kind of onus onto a machine. But it's really interesting to see, you know, the more data you give it, the better it gets. And it's been a really interesting experiment. And I just wonder, you know, how interesting to bring the different parts of yourself to life, almost like inside out, you know what I mean? But they're just your ones.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've been thinking about. It's quite sweet.
Mate, honestly, I'm like a big fan of it. Like it really reminds me, like, I think, you know, conversations with the inner child are like super, super important. Like a lot of the therapy work that I've done has basically sort of like been like about reparenting, like not just the one child or the many, many, like, you know, different versions of myself inside. And it really reminds me, like, I remember a little while ago, like I was like, I wonder what my inner child looks like right now. And, you know, I've spent a lot of time talking to one of the AIs about all of this. So I was like, I should probably like get it to like describe what it thinks I look like. And it was horrible. And it didn't make me into a young person. It was like my inner children had just like become like old geezers, like just like look like kids and stuff. So it's really interesting to sort of like think, what happens when you start visualizing stuff like that? When you bring it into like not just a sort of like, you know, a mental exercise or like, you know, a thought experiment, but when you actually sort of like manifest it into reality. Because it really makes me think about your project when you did the like positive affirmations from your future self. And I wonder, like, you know, could you, I mean, when you were saying it, I was like just thinking like I would pardon me, I would absolutely love it if you could like figure a way on how to sort of like have like a group call with them. Because like surely you'd be able to like go, here's all the personalities, here's all the like API calls to like 11 labs, run it through like, you know, Twilio or any number of like other services or anything, and then actually speak to them. Like
Twilio, who I've got a call with today.
Oh, Twilio, who you've got forward today. That's interesting, isn't it? Oh, so perfectly timed that, right?
That's so interesting. Yeah, and maybe I could do the different voice clones and different accents. Like the fear is like, hello. Do you know what I mean? You can make it really silly.
I love that it sounds like that. Like, but that's what I mean. Like, you know, who are all these characters? Because they'll basically like look like you a little bit, right?
Yeah, and it's also gamifying. To be honest, without getting too deep, like there's one part of myself that I was talking to. I needed to approach it with compassion and get it on side to be able to move forward. So, and then I was thinking that's kind of gamifying. That's like in the prompt, like talk to your fear and persuade it to do something. And when you persuaded it, you've won the game. Do you know what I mean? So it's like bringing that into it.
Man, honestly, I think this is absolutely brilliant, and it's like really funny because I think like it could be something really fun to like make, and like when you think about it, just again like it just makes me think like wow, like actually like in one of our like you know we use Replit quite a lot, and one of my favorites or like recent updates they made was prompt a 3D game, so you could potentially like make this and like actually have like you know a conversation with all three of your however many of your like internal characters you have to speak to and stuff. So
it also reminded me there was a trend. It was some app like Fern Cotton. You know her. She's quite into wellness stuff. It was just an app, and she did herself hugging her inner child, and it was like a trend online. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. I want. Yeah, I think that there's so much to do in that space, and like you know, I think the more exploring you can do in that space, and I think this is just amazing. Really, actually really made me think. Like I did something last week. Can I tell you about something I made last week? And sorry to sort of like, unless you want to like tell me some more about it.
No, I just have one question to ask you about my idea for next week. So please.
Okay, please. Okay, fantastic. Right. So I've been working on a job that's been really, really stressful and has sort of like, you know, I think what I find most annoying about myself is that as soon as things start getting stressful, even though I have like a really formulated and regimented like idea of like when I don't feel good, I can check my sleep, I can check my diet, I can check my exercise, like there's a million things I need to do. Like, you know, last week I got annoyed about something and I was like, am I really annoyed about this? Or have I like, you know, the normal checklist, like, are you annoyed? Yes. Have you slept properly? Have you eaten properly? Have you drunk enough water? No to any of those things. And I was like, oh, well, so you're not really annoyed. You're just tired and you're just knackered. While I was like doing like, you know, I think I was like just in the middle of all of this stuff and I was like, I was like, how am I going to find time to go to the gym? How am I going to find time to eat properly? Like, it's just impossible. Anyway, I came across this like really interesting load of research that was like talking about like how different sound frequencies can like basically short circuit your brain into feeling relaxed really quickly. So, you know, like the theta waves and the delta waves and the gamma waves and all of these other waves and stuff. And I was like, amazing. I'm going to build myself an app that will basically play these tones to me while I'm working. And it was really fun because like first I was like, okay, we could go through the normal way of like making a web app and that would be like a quick thing on Replit and it wouldn't take me that long. I was like, actually, hold on a minute. Like now with how far technology has actually sort of progressed, like I want to make a real life app. Like I want an app that is something that I could like put on the Play Store and it would like be a real thing. And it worked. And I was able to sort of like not one shot an entire app. And one shot just basically means that you type a prompt in once, you push a button, and then you finally get you get like a packaged app at the end of it. But I was able to sort of like make it within like, you know, maybe like 4 hours or something. And it worked really, really well. And, you know, I'm no interest in like publishing it or anything. It was just that like I suddenly had like gone, my problem is that I don't feel relaxed. My solution is like, can I play like sound waves for myself? Then the execution of that is like, I'll just make myself an app. And none of that process is like outlandish to me anymore. Like, you know, normally like if I would have been like, I'm tired, like, well, I'll be like, okay, why don't you listen to like a meditation and go to bed or something?
Yeah.
But it was more like, actually, hold on a minute. I want pure tones because the science says that that's how my brain's going to relax really, really quickly. So I made an entire thing to basically help me do that. And it was like really interesting.
Cool. Where did you get the tones from?
The tones were just like, they're just frequencies. I can never say like the name of the guy who like found all of these like healing frequencies and stuff. But if you go on YouTube, like you'll see like.
Okay, so then did you get it to pull up a YouTube, or did you download it off YouTube and put
No, I got it to like basically sort of like build a tone generator like in code.
Cool.
Like, so it wasn't like any extra external sounds or anything. It was like literally this AI had built a piece of code that could generate tone in any frequency I wanted. Then the research was like, I got the research that was like, these are the exact tones that you need. I think there's like 12 of them. And then I basically got the machine to like, I could just push a button and it would do those tones. Then and then I was like, okay, what other features do I need in this? Okay, the other features were like a timer. So I can like do 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, infinity time. Then I was like, you know what? I've been reading this thing about like, if you actually hear the same tone, but at like slightly different phases, it calms your brain down faster. So you hear like one sound in one ear and another sound in another ear that's just like slightly different. You get this like wobbling sound in your head. And I got it to do that as well. So suddenly I was just like, I'd wake up in the morning, have a coffee, go for a walk, half an hour, listen to these like absolutely insane like tones, and come back and just be like, yo.
Reminds me, do you remember when I was talking about AI for hypnosis?
Oh my God,
Do you remember that stage of my life about a month ago, 2 months ago?
Yeah.
I need to revisit that, because if you've ever listened to hypnosis, it's two different things at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's like, do not listen while you're operating heavy machinery, because it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
But customized AI for hypnosis, I'm going to revisit.
Definitely do, because it's like, it's fascinating.
It's only getting easier.
It's only getting easier. And it's almost becoming like, because it really made me think like, it's really interesting. Like when I was first using AI, I was like, I would like make AI tools to like help me do things a little bit fast. So, you make a quick little app that will basically help you write prompts, or you like make a quick little app that will take your idea but write a really good mid-journey prompt instead of what you'd done. And now I'm like going, okay, well, my diet's a bit off. Well, I can build something to sort of like help me like course correct that. Actually, I'm not feeling very great and I can't really put my finger on it. Well, maybe we could use some tones and stuff. And I'm like able to just go, this is what I think is going on. Let me just build something in order to like look
health,
at it.
basically, like holistic health solution. Can I ask your advice on something?
Yes,
because
please.
I know we were told we should make this shorter. Okay, by our producer, we are listening.
We definitely are
we are listening.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to make, so I've been a bit sick in the last week, but so my exercise schedule's gone out the window, but what I have been doing is Kundalini. If you don't, Kundalini is quite a weird kind of yoga. It's lots of chanting and movement, but I find it really powerful. Usually they're really long, but I found this woman on YouTube. She's got so many videos and they're all different lengths and they're also for different things. So when I was sick, I was cleaning on my aura. This morning, I did one to like receive more blessings. I think, there's ones to like generically live your best life, or like you can just, there's so many different ones for strength, for power, for compassion, for sensitivity. What I want to do is, and how do I do it? Do I need to rip it all? Do I need to get an AI to like go on it and read the data? What I want to do is make a little app where I'm just like, this morning I've got 20 minutes and this is how I'm feeling. And then it just picks the right workout for me to do.
Yeah.
The right Kundalini workout for me to do.
And what's your sort of like thoughts on like how that might look for you at the minute?
Well, I was thinking that I either screenshot the whole YouTube, like all the playlists, and put that up and upload that as the data. And then, I don't know, I'm like, is it just a customized GPT? Do I need to do it on Replit? Because it's not like, I don't even know if YouTube has an API. Do I need to watch it through Replit? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, I think like, yeah, if you're going to like make something like that personally, because I'm not 100% sure you're allowed to like use.
That's
like,
what I thought.
like,
I mean, I just thought about it when I was doing Kundalini this morning, so I haven't done any research.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I'm sure, like, also, like, I think maybe it'd be a good way. Like, my sort of like first feeling about it is like, maybe you could just like speak to Gemini.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought. I need to talk
So
to
like, rather than like build like a massive new thing, like you could literally just like, or like, even if it's like your wellness, like I imagine like if you have like if
gem, make a gem.
You can make a gem. You can make make a gem, and in this gem, you literally just say to it like, "This is what I want," and I like go on like YouTube and find me the right thing.
Also, she's called Kundalini Yoga Gem. I mean, the branding writes itself.
Like, look, you
Isn't
know
that
what? Like,
mad?
look,
Yeah.
I think we've hit our solution pretty quickly.
Okay,
But like, you know,
good.
you can like kind of like rather than like having any store of their data or any sort of access to their data, you're just asking it to go and do a web
Go and
search
have a
for
little
you.
look for me.
And like, I've got to be honest, like that feels more agentic, a more agentic request than any other like agent stuff that I'm hearing, which is normally just like workflow automation, like do this step, do this step, do this step. But you're like actually going, I need an AI to go and like, I need to set it a task and it needs to go and do it itself. And it also makes me think like, could you also like do it in Atlas? Like OpenAI is that new web browser. Like, could you ask it to like, you know, because you can basically sort of like have ChatGPT like open in your browsing session. So you could just be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Go and like find me a thing.
Yeah, have a go. I think you're right. Obviously, Gemini would be good because it's already connected to YouTube. So I think it'll have more up-to-date data, and she's putting new videos up all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes ChatGPT just has old stuff.
It does have old stuff.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's my challenge for next week.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Okay. Well, thanks for listening.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.